Hi, I'm your host, Marsha Florence with Just Ask. Today's show, ladies and gentlemen, is Closed Head Injury Care. Hurry back and join us. Hi, I'm your host, Marsha Florence with Just Ask. Today's show, ladies and gentlemen, is Closed Head Injury Care. And we have with us Administrative Coordinator of Alton Care Homes, Marcy Holmes. Good morning, Marcy.
Hi, Marcia.
Glad to have you here.
I'm glad to be here.
Thank you, thank you. Now, I just said a mouthful, Alton Care Homes and Marcy Homes. So I'll tell you what, why don't you tell us a little bit about Alton Care Homes and your role there?
Well, Alton Care Homes is a 24-hour residential care home, and what we do is it specializes in traumatic brain injury, more commonly known as TBI or a closed head injury. And what we do there is essentially help a person who's had a life-altering event like a traumatic brain injury rehabilitate back into the community. And what my role there is, as administrative coordinator, is all the not so exciting stuff of the paperwork, the Medicare, Medicaid, all the scary things that families are thinking about as far as how are they going to take care of all of that. We take all that burden away from them, and so that they can focus on what they need to focus on, healing.
Okay. Now we know when a family member has is it called TBI?
Yeah.
Okay, traumatic brain injury.
Yes.
Okay, and then the common name is
Closed head injury.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. Give us some insight on the types of closed head injuries.
Well, there's say somebody gets into a automobile accident.
Mm-hmm.
That would be probably the most common thing that we would see come into our home is somebody gets into a car accident and they have a resultant closed head injury from that.
Okay.
So they are in the hospital. Now they're getting ready to go out of the hospital and they need some place to do the rehabilitation.
Okay.
So that's the most common. We have seen instances where there is like a domestic abuse situation, which is really sad to see. Now there is some situations, we've been working with the Pediatric Hydrocephalus Foundation, and there's some things where people are born with some closed injury situations. So.
Okay. Now, when a person, and we're going to use the example from a car accident, when a person sustains a closed head injury from a car accident, are there skill levels below a certain average point or something that determines if they need to be in a rehabilitation center such as yours?
It varies because each traumatic brain injury is different. But for our home, it would have to be something where they need 24-hour care to start with, and then as they go through the rehabilitation, they regain some of their independence, and then maybe they are able to go back to what they had. If it's not what they used to be, as close as possible.
Okay. And when you say 24-hour care, does that give signs of the severity of the condition?
Yeah.
Okay.
That would
okay.
be a pretty severe
I'm
situation.
Sure, right. I'm sure that when a person has an accident of any kind and they sustain a closed head injury of some sort, and the family member is just up in arms, like, what do we do now? Because first things first, the person's in the hospital, probably been on life support, everything else, coma or something or other. Now they're coming back around, and the family is happy to know that their loved one is still alive and, can function, can come home. But the devastation of the level of the injury is the aftermath. How do you guys, become in contact with families?
The way we come back in contact with families is either through lawyers, through the hospital, through case managers. Those are the three most common avenues that we see. And then we go through our process of evaluating what it is that particular individual is going to need as far as physical therapy, occupational therapy, skills for daily living. Do they have issues with incontinence? Do they want to be a part of a support group? Do they want to do social activities? Mm-hmm. Do we need to have a doctor on site? All those things go into that comprehensive plan of care.
So each case is unique in itself?
Yeah, very unique.
Okay.
No TBI is the same.
Okay. Okay. What's the age criteria?
We go from age 18 to whatever age. We can go over 65 even, which is something most people don't know.
Okay, okay, because age 18, mainly if it's a person who's driving or something, but not, like you said, it could be various situations that can cause a closed head injury.
Right.
Okay, all right. And that's a lot going on, because I'm sure, like I said, when the family, is happy to see that their loved one can come home from the hospital, they have not a clue that they're going to need care or 24-hour care, and someone's trying to work, trying to go to school. Now, all of a sudden, you've got to make some arrangements to have proper care for your loved one.
Yeah, it is a huge adjustment, and it's one of those invisible disabilities. They may be perfectly fine physically, but the cognitive issues are still there, and it's very difficult to know what to do, especially as a caregiver. So we do a lot of education with the caregiver as well, and give them as much support as possible, so that when they go home, that they know what they need to do as far as rehabilitation goes too.
Okay, okay, okay. Well, I tell you what, Marcy, we're going to take a break and come back. And ladies and gentlemen, we have some more good information about closed head injuries. You may want to get your pen out. We'll be right back.
We'll be here.
And welcome back to the second half of the show. For those of you who are just now joining us, we have Marcy Holmes, who is the administrative coordinator for Autumn Home Cares. And she's giving us some insight on closed head injuries and the other title, TBI, which is traumatic brain injury. Now, Marcy, I want to ask you, what makes the Autumn Home Care facility outstanding versus the other ones?
Well, we focus on person-centered planning, and what that is we want to involve the individual in the planning process. How they want to receive their care, what they want to do after they're done with our facility, how they want to proceed with the rehabilitation, their goals. Do they want to go back to work? What is that going to look like? So we have the vocational piece included in that. It's really about empowering the individual to be able to get back to what they were before. The disability is not going to define the person. They are going to be able to define who they are once they get back into the world. So as a person with a disability myself, having gone through that process myself, I feel that that is a very powerful component that we can bring to the table, and something that I feel extremely passionate about, that I think we do very well and can bring that to the families.
Okay. So what type of services are available to a person with traumatic
the daily living skills training, so relearning those things, like learning how to cook again, learning how to do laundry, learning how to use a computer. I mean, some of these things that people take for granted, that somebody with a TBI may have to go through and learn these things again.
So is getting dressed all over again one of the
Yeah,
components?
one of those things.
I know I've had opportunity to visit a facility, closed head injury facility, where they were doing piecework, and come to find out the clients were getting paid to do piecework, which was packaging products for the airlines. So, and then I went to another facility that offered art. So they had a place where you can learn to paint and draw. Now, those are recreational things, and plus that's a component for employment. But before they get to that level, is learning how to dress, is learning how to eat, is learning how to speak, is all that being addressed first and foremost before they get to go to these other avenues?
Yeah, that would be part of their planning process. Again, that person-centered planning is part of that. And as we go through that plan, we find out what it is that they're interested in. If it is art, then we're going to find a program that they're interested in. If they're wanting to get into a recreational sports program, there's a lot of wonderful recreational sports programs available that we can get people connected into. So those are some things that we can do. The fact that we can customize the plan, that we're able to do that and customize it to the individual, that is what I think sets us apart.
Okay, but when you say you customize a plan, are you, along with the family and the physicians, developing a plan of action for that person, or is that person able to participate in the plan of action that they want?
Yes, they're able to the extent that they can, and then the caregiver is also. So the guardian, if they're have a guardian or the doctor, they're involved in the decision process as well. But if the person's able to participate in that planning, then of course we want them to be involved and take ownership of that. One of the things is we want to make sure that the individual is a part of it. We don't want to have somebody just arbitrarily making decisions without including them.
Okay. So you guys have a support group. What goes on in the support group?
The support group is really just that peer support, letting people know that that they're experiencing some of the same things, and just gathering information, letting them know, yeah, I've gone through this, and this is how I was able to get through it. And the support groups really take on a life of their own, and it can be informational, it can be more social. They kind of decide their own thing and kind of go with it.
How often do you guys meet?
Once a month. We meet on the first Monday of each month.
Okay. Set time, set location?
7 p.m. at our home on Plum Hollow.
Okay. So now when you have those support groups, can anyone attend the support group, or is it just your residents right now?
We do welcome the caregivers. They are welcome to attend as well, but I think we're going to roll off a caregiver group because they have their own unique needs, and there's things that are very stressful and they go through as well, that it's something where they can benefit from talking to each other and say, yeah, this is what I'm dealing with right now, and how are you getting through this, and those
is that part of
things.
your advocacy program?
Yes.
Okay.
Learning to help them advocate for the person that's their family members. So this is a very important component, because the best person to advocate is them. They need to be advocating for that person. They're going to be the best person to advocate for them, other than the individual themselves. So learning to advocate is very important.
So sometimes if a person comes to your facility and they don't have, say, a spouse, maybe it's a mom who has a daughter, and the daughter's under 18, would you guys work with the daughter to help her be the advocate for her mom to help make decisions, or would you have to develop some type of case management so that you can help this mom get to the next level to be able to return back as much as possible to herself to help finish raising her daughter? Trick question.
It's a trick question. Well, the daughter is going to have to eventually learn how to become more independent. I used to run a disability advocacy organization when I lived in Illinois, and one of the things we worked on was transitioning from high school into adulthood. So that's one of the things we worked with the parents and the children to figure out, how are we going to live life in adulthood? How are we going to get there? So working with the parents and the children together to figure out how we're going to do that. So the parent's a big part of that component, but the child, I've found oftentimes that they're like any other child, whether they have the disability or not, want to have that component of independence. So they're very involved in the planning process.
Now, on your staff, do you have the OT, the OP, and the OT, all the therapy people lined up? So it's physical therapy, occupational therapy, the whole gamut, or how is it done? You know, because I don't know. Do you have physicians on hand, or do each individual have their own physician that comes and visit them?
If they have a primary care doctor, then of course we have transportation where we can take them to whatever doctors and specialists that they have already. We're not going to force them to switch doctors.
Okay.
But if they need somebody to set something up, if they don't have a doctor already, we've ran into that before where they don't have a primary care physician, then we can have a doctor that can come to the home. We have PT, OT, all of those specialists that can come to the home if that's what they need.
Okay. Sounds good, because, you know, a lot of times, like, you know, when we're trying to find services for our loved ones, it's a little difficult because you don't know where to start, or, you know, what facilities offer. People need to know right off the cuff, if I have my dad here at this particular place, what will he receive? What type of services? Can the families visit the facilities 24 hours, or does it, you know, matter?
No, absolutely not. If you want to come at 2 in the morning, go for it.
Okay.
Kids are definitely welcome too. We are located on a 1 acre. It's a country setting. There's a nice backyard. There's actually deer that actually come up to the back porch. There's a nice screened-in back porch, and there's deer that come up there. There's squirrels, and
Yeah, I bet.
we even have a little woodchuck that comes up there. So,
but you have a lot of safety.
Definitely,
safety
we have
features and
safety
stuff?
features
Yeah.
on there. So it's just a very nice setting where people
Do
can
people
just
ever
look
try to
out and
just
have
walk
that
off?
nice serene setting, or take a walk back there.
Okay.
And it's really nice back there.
So they can walk back there. Okay. So people don't normally try to walk off and leave.
No.
Okay.
No, we have 1-to-1 ratio to where there's always somebody with them. That's for a 24-hour care facility. Then we have that one. There's always somebody with the person. So.
Okay. So there's a 24-hour care facility, and then there's what else?
There is the Chapel Apartments.
Okay.
That is a something. If somebody has a disability and they're more independent, then it's a secured building. We have security on site so that the building is nice and secure for them. So.
Okay. So that's more independent living.
That is more independent.
Okay, and so they actually can live there
Yes.
because they have been rehabilitated to a degree to be able to live independently.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, and it's centrally located to where they can get on the bus, they can go to their doctors. There's a grocery store right across the street. It's centrally located where they can get to all the services that they need. So, it was a nice location.
Okay. Okay. Well, we're going to go to a break, and ladies and gentlemen, got some literature for you. We'll be right back.
Special Olympics. Be a fan.
And welcome back to the last half of the show. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Marcy Holmes, the administrative coordinator, has given us some insight on what closed head injury individuals go through, as well as TBI, traumatic brain injury. And a lot of times you're sitting at home and you know that you have a loved one at home that needs some care. Now, you may choose to decide to call here at the Just Ask hotline, 1-800-323-5336, and get some more information from us in reference to Altum Home Care and many more other places. So feel free to give us a line, drop us a line, or you can always hashtag Just Ask Talk Show. You can always go to the website, justasktalkshow.org. You can even tweet me. It doesn't matter. If you have a question or if you know someone with a disability, this is the purpose of having this show, so that you can ask us questions to ask the guests or write in. Now, do look forward to seeing segments called Just Ask the Doctor. When you see a segment called Just Ask the Doctor, you need to email us a question that you'd like for us to ask the physician, and he or she will respond. So look for that upcoming segment. So I want to get back to Marcy now. Marcy, you know, a lot of things go on when a family member is, you know, falling ill for whatever reason, and closed head injuries is one of those that a lot of people who go through that are just devastated. The entire family is just totally devastated. But we hadn't talked about costs. A lot of times it could be a low-income family that's struggling and they have a closed head injury family member, or a person who's pretty well off, but yet they still have had one of those situations. Tell us about the cost factor. How is it dealt with insurance-wise?
Well, there's several different ways that it can be dealt with. But obviously, there's private insurance that it can be dealt with. Medicare is also a way to deal with it if they're over 65, or if they've had from the date of disability to 24 months from the date of disability, they can also be used Medicare. If that's not the case, then they can also use Medicaid. If they were in the service, they can utilize what is called aid in attendance. If they are a spouse of a service person, they can also tap into that resource.
So our
there's several
our
different ways.
military can also use the service. Those are our service providers, right?
Yes.
Military. Okay.
So Veterans Affairs can utilize the aid and attendance portion of that. There's also what is called a BI Medicaid waiver, which is a brain injury Medicaid waiver. So that's something that can be applied for in the case of brain injury to be able to get some of these additional services paid for. So that's something else that can be looked into at the Department of Human Services.
Okay. Now, what's it called again?
BI Medicaid waiver.
Okay.
So brain injury Medicaid waiver.
Now, see, that's something that families, probably have very little knowledge about. And
Right.
someone's young son or daughter was in a terrible car accident, and they could have received some assistance but didn't know how. So now, does that apply to families who are on assistance programs such as social services, or can they go there and get additional?
They can get additional, that would be additional in addition. So that's specifically for that type of injury. So if something like that were to happen, if it was a car accident or some other injury like that, if it was a domestic abuse situation, or if it was, I've seen people where they've been shot, things of that nature. And this would be something that would work in that situation. So they can definitely go apply for that.
Okay, I'm glad you said that, because a lot of people probably didn't know that they can go to your DHS office and apply for BI
Medicaid waiver.
BI Medicaid waiver. So somebody write that down. BI Medicaid waiver. Okay. So that's a good component to know, because a lot of times, like I said, you're at home. You find out your son or daughter or husband or whatever has been hurt, and you don't have any income coming in, not real income that you say, well, I can afford to put them in this facility. So then they need to know that they can seek assistance, state assistance from other components. Okay.
Definitely.
Okay, that'll work. All right. Now let's go over your brochure here, Altum Care Homes. Do we get a shot of that? Good shot? Okay. Now, the brochure, if somebody wants to know more about Altum Care Homes, can they request one of these in the mail?
Definitely. We would send that out to them, any additional information they would want from us. They can also go to our website, which is www.altumcarehomes.com.
Okay.
That's ALTUMCAREHOMES.com.
Now, they're going to find you guys on our website. So, ladies and gentlemen,
Excellent.
if you're short on information, just go to the Just Ask website as well, and you will find Altum Home Care Services on our site. Okay, so this is a nice brochure. I like this here. Basically, I just wanted to let people see it so that if someone wanted to call or request a brochure to learn more about your services, rehabilitation services, the enrollment process, and living arrangements, all in one. That's nice information. Where healing is happy. Okay, wait, it's happening. Okay.
Where healing happens.
When healing happens. Okay, that's great. Okay, now, Marcy, let me ask you this. So, if by chance you have a situation where how is the community involved with you guys? I mean, you're in the area, you say, with the acres and this and that. Is there living arrangements around you guys where the community gets involved and supports the clients, or just feel like,
Well,
standoff?
Easter Seals is right down the street from us, so we work with them quite a bit to provide some services too. We've also worked with Strive Incorporated. We've partnered with them. We did the Some More Fest on not too long ago, and we handed out bike helmets to kids. So
Great.
that was something we did with the Children's Hospital, DMC Children's Hospital, and
Great.
so we handed out
Right.
hundreds of.
Well, bike helmets,
Helmets.
you know, and I was surprised that the law was passed for motorcycle riders that they don't have to have a helmet. But you know, the choice is the individuals
It is the
because they feel
choice.
like that they're safe and they want the wind to blow in their hair. Now, on that note, now do you have a lot of closed head injuries from motorcycle accidents and stuff like that, or?
It's been domestic abuse, to be honest with you.
Really?
So yeah,
Okay.
it's really very sad, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we've been seeing lately.
Yeah. Well, we're going to do a show on domestic abuse because a lot of people don't realize that it starts young and it keeps going on and on when you get older. So we want to make sure that we tap into the information on that and try to get some agencies to back us to let people know you do have somewhere to go. Okay, and that's important.
I did have a nice conversation with the co-directors of the Pediatric Hydrocephalus Foundation, and that was a very interesting conversation. That can happen through 3 different ways: congenital, it could be an injury, or I can't remember the last one. I'm sorry.
What's the name of that organization?
It's the Pediatric Hydrocephalus Foundation.
No, what's hydrocephalus?
It's where the brain produces too much fluid in the brain, and then it actually crushes the brain matter against the skull and can cause brain damage that way. So one of the co-directors actually explained it this way, that there's like pipes, the ventricles are like pipes, and then there's a clog in there. That's what causes the increase in fluid, which I thought was a great analogy.
And that's usually probably when the child is born.
Her daughter, they didn't find it until her 2-month checkup. So sometimes you don't notice it until later. So
Okay, is it repairable? Is the situation that's repairable?
no, there's no cure for it. So they're still doing research to see if there could be a cure for it.
Okay.
But until then, the only thing that can be done is to insert a shunt into the brain and drain it out through the abdomen or through the heart.
Okay. But does it allow the child to be as normal as possible?
Yeah, so far there is some delays, but other than the initial is there's sometimes they do as much as 10 to 12 surgeries initially until they get the shunt worked in, and then after that they have to replace the shunt regularly, but after that they're fairly normal.
Do you guys offer speech therapy?
Yes.
All right. I know that's a concern for most patients that, you know, once upon a time may have been orators or something and they no longer can perform that type of task, but they want to be able to speak as well as possible.
Right, yeah, definitely. That would be something if somebody's nonverbal because of the injury, then that would be something we would add to their plan.
Okay. Well, you sound like you have a range of services that you guys provide there, and I'm sure you have happy tenants, so
yes,
that's what keeps you going.
Definitely. This
Right.
is why we do what we do. You don't get into this business because you're going to be a millionaire. You do this because you love what you do.
That's right. You got to have a heart.
Yeah.
You do. You got to have a heart. Well, Marcia Holmes, I thank you so much for coming. Please do join us again.
Thank you.
Okay. And we're going to be looking forward to some more information. You guys have a newsletter that comes out?
We have a newsletter that comes out once a month. We also have a Facebook page and Twitter. So go ahead and follow us and like us, and
we'll
put out information.
All right, we'll get all that out for you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you know, as usual, I always tell you we got good information for you. So if you know someone who has a closed head injury or a TBI, traumatic brain injury, you need to consider going onto our website and getting some information in reference to who's doing what, okay? So I'm your host, Marsha Florence, for Just Ask. Now, once again, you can give me a call, 1-800-323-5336, 1-800-323-5336, Twitter, hashtag Just Ask Talk Show, Facebook, and the website, justasktalkshow.org. There's no way you can't get in contact with us, all right? So as I always say, if you know a person with a disability or if you just have a general question, don't be afraid to ask. Just ask. I'm your host, Marsha Florence. Thank you.